7:30 in the morning is the appropriate time to get turnt. Wait.
We're back at 7:30 in the morning with episode 43 of We Were Gamers.
A show about people who get turned up at 7:30 in the morning. Wait. No, that's not what it's about at all.
No, coffee.
Yeah, man. Whew. I'm drinking some tea over here to keep myself awake.
Is this one of those instances where I've said a thing that I don't quite understand and now we're going to get in trouble for it?
Nah. It's just, look, no one is setting out to party at 7:30 in the morning. It's too early. No one can do that.
No.
Yeah. The partying from last night is winding down. And so, you have to have some sleep sometime.
I don't know that there's much partying left in me.
No? Are you partied out?
Yeah. I worry about reading now. I'm not have time to read tonight.
Yeah. On the recent vacation that we took, I completed an entire book over the course of that week, and it was amazing.
I must have felt really good.
It was pretty good.
I have taken this month off from Hearthstone, and in its place has been a decent amount of reading. A lot of graphic novels, catched up. Oh, man, that reading is not rubbing off.
Nope. The English degree is fading slowly away.
My English degree has been absorbed by Clayface, by fatherhood.
Yep.
No, I've shoved a lot of reading in there. I finished those series of Aragon books, by the way. I meant to tell you about that a long time ago.
Oh, yeah. I read one or two of those books at some point in my life, and then the third one or the fourth one or whatever, the last couple were supposed to come out, and then I never went back.
The last couple, you can tell he became more of an adult, and there's a lot of the character worrying about tying up every single loose end because I think the writer was trying to tie.
Also is worried about it.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that.
So they got a little bit stretched out and a little over wrought in their own thinking.
Mm-hmm.
But they were decent books, especially for who they were written by and for who they were written for. So
yeah, did it end in a satisfying way?
Yeah, it actually had kind of a bittersweet thing going on, which is nice for a fantasy novel to not just end on and happily ever after.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of happily ever after in fantasy, so that's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
nice.
What you been up to?
Well, I started that book was a series by Brandon Sanderson. I don't know if you are acquainted with him of fantasy author fame. He's
the dude now, right? And he's there's George Martin and there's Brandon Sanderson.
He is very popular. Yeah. It was I forget the book is titled The Way of Kings. It's
Stormlight Archives.
Yes. So it was recommended to me as being really good from a friend of mine, and I trusted him foolishly because I wandered into another book series that is unfinished.
Really? I thought it was only the 3 books. It's still going?
The plan, according to the author, is 8 books or something. So
this is the author that is busy finishing other people's series.
Yeah. Well, he said he's done with that. The Wheel of Time stuff now, so at least he's back on writing his own stuff. But he said also that these books take him 2 years each because they're kind of long, and so
hold on, these books take him 2 years each, but he publishes 6 books a year.
Yeah, but also so I went to the author's blog because I was interested in this. The Way of Kings is the book in the Stormlight Archive. There's a series of 2 of them now, I think, and a third one coming this year, I think. And then more supposedly to follow after that, I guess. Or maybe not, I don't know. But the author, was talking about how long it takes him to write these various books. And he says, basically, I work on a lot of projects all the time. He's a teacher and an author and all kinds of other side stuff. And he goes, these Stormlight books, these big, really meaty fantasy books, are the thing he loves doing. But if he works on them 24/7 for 2 years, it kills him. He says, I just literally go insane. So he writes all those other books, the young adult novels and stuff, in his spare time to take his mind off of the other books.
That's like taking batting practice.
Yes. to take his mind off of how bad of a slump he is in, or something like that. So I don't want to like attribute, like feelings onto him that he maybe doesn't have. But anyway,
I hope I wasn't implying that. I was just shocked at how prolific he is. That's the only thing I was trying to say.
Oh, no, that's absolutely a correct thing to be shocked at. He writes an insane number of books all the time, and I don't understand how any author can put out so much volume of text, regardless of all of its quality.
Do you like his writing style?
I have come to accept things about it. I wouldn't say he's like my favorite author, but I would definitely say that book that I read was extremely enjoyable.
Yeah. He's definitely got a little bit more utilitarian aspect to what he does.
That is a correct way to describe it. I was struggling for a word, but yeah. It's not flowery prose, but it is an economy of words that lets you paint your own picture.
There you go. I like that.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so are you going to take a break from that until it's done, or are you just going to catch up on what's out there?
Nope, too late. I'm invested in the story now. Got to keep reading. So,
right on.
My couple chapters after bed or whatever will be from his books or those books.
Nice. I'm going to avoid long series for a little bit. I have a lot of catch-up reading to do, so. But it's been nice. It's been nice to...
I had wanted to do that, but oh well.
It's been nice to kind of step away from the... I feel like gaming now has a little bit, for me, not because of this podcast, but because of how games are, have become kind of like a checklist. Like, I got to log in and do my dailies there. I got to log in and do my dailies there. I got to log in and do my stamina there. I got to make sure I get my daily,
Yeah, for sure. I know that feeling, definitely.
Stepping away from that and just reading for a little bit has been kind of nice. But it doesn't mean I've been playing no games. What have you been playing?
So I'm sure that you and I both have been playing some Fire Emblem Heroes.
Oh, yeah.
That new map, dude. The one for Robin, the female version of Robin.
Oh, yeah,
I completed the easy version without a ton of trouble, but mostly because my people are like, way higher level than the level for that map.
Sure.
The hard version of that map beats the poop out of my team, man. Not even a thing. Just like, bam, everyone dead.
I was able to, because I now have 2 level 40s, one of which being Takumi, kind of kite people around the map a little bit. Like I would funnel them.
It comes down into that little point, right? Where basically you have to like walk out there, and whoever walks out there first is going to take it in the face, right?
Yeah.
And so you have to have a person who could survive that hit. And then, because if you lose anyone, it's over, right? Everyone has to survive.
Mm-hmm.
And so then, okay, well, like I have a person who can do that. They survive that first turn. But then the second turn, now I have to kill like at least 2 people.
Mm-hmm.
Or else my guys are going to get then also killed again the next turn. And I can kill one, but not the other one. And like, depending, even if I have someone else go out there, I can kill the other one, but then not the first one. And so it's a problem.
Yeah, so my 2 level 40s are ranged, so that's how I was able to pull off killing the 2.
Okay.
And the person I sent out there survived with 1 health.
Oh man, wow, nice.
Yeah. So that map hasn't been giving me trouble. The maps that have been giving me trouble actually are the last level of the main story on Lunatic. All the enemies are level 40 and most of them are armored, and I'm just getting wrecked.
Do you have an armor slayer person? Like a person with one of the anti-armor weapons or something?
I think the only one I have is a 4-star... I think it's Barrett. Is it Barrett?
I don't know.
No, Barrett doesn't sound right.
I have 2. One is a green mounted guy named Frederick, and he has he's a 3-star actually, but he has a armor killing weapon. And the other one is a 4-star female samurai named Hannah, I think. She also has an armor killing weapon, but she unfortunately is not as useful as the mounted guy because her ability makes her take extra damage.
Oh yeah.
In response for dealing extra damage, which is not useful. Or not true. It is useful, but
yeah, that's the same as the guy I'm thinking of actually. Bartray was his name. He has the same ability.
Okay.
He does extra damage, but he takes damage.
Right.
And his Hammer Plus is also effective against armor units. I wonder.
Yeah.
I have another green axe unit. I wonder if he's effective against armor.
My
Nope.
mounted axe dude is does have the Hammer Plus, I think. So it's the same weapon. But yeah, armored guys are tough. There's only a few people that are really good against them, and then there's like kind of nothing else you can do.
Yeah, so it's I've gotten to the point, and this has happened to me on the ladder too, that basically everybody I'm fighting against is level 40. So if you don't have the right team comp, you're just dead.
Yeah.
I'm a little concerned about that on the battle mode, the arena mode.
Yeah, it's definitely a case where like there is almost like in Hearthstone, there's like a meta developing. I don't know how to describe it, but like
no, there is definitely
popular characters, and then people finding counters to those popular characters, and then trying to squeeze in the units to get the bonuses for each season and stuff.
Yeah, I definitely don't have any of the units at all for the bonus this season. So
Same.
My score has gone down by like half, I think.
Precipitously.
Oh man, I didn't realize how big the bonus was, but now I'm only getting 150, 200 points a win, and I haven't hit a 7-game win streak this season. So I think my score right now is 800.
Yeah, mine's lower than that actually, just because I haven't been able to string together more than like 4 wins in a row. And with only 150-ish points a win, it's tough.
Yeah, it's kind of a shocker for me going from 3,000 to.
And yet my defense score is still like 248 or whatever. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, but good job, computer. Clearly, the computer can play my team well. I just can't.
Yeah, mine's 270, I think.
I don't know. I want to watch the video of what the computer does with my team because they can win, but I can't.
I think it's just composition, man. Somebody walked into your team and didn't have an answer.
Yeah, that ninja does wreck people sometimes.
Any other Fire Emblem notes? I mean, let's just do Fire Emblem now,
Yeah, I mean, we're here. I saw an announcement on a Twitter or something that they are going to add a way to inherit skills from other people to different people. If that makes any sense. They haven't really explained how it works. But it sounds like you will be able to move skills around from one person to another person in some manner. Which creates the possibility of insanity.
I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, so take a bad ability off somebody and put a good ability there? That doesn't sound good.
Potentially, yeah. It sounds like that people think it's going to be a case where like you kind of have to like get rid of the hero whose skill is being donated to the other one.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be more ways for you to use the like merge ally button.
But that involves probably having, to level them
multiple
up to
copies, yeah,
4 or 5-star to get the ability you even want.
Correct.
And then you're going to chuck them.
I guess.
Yikes!
I don't know. They haven't really explained how it works at all, so it's hard to say at the moment. I have a ton of orbs, and I don't really want to use them because the current like banner summon thing sucks.
I agree with you. I think I've got 80 stockpiled.
Yeah, I don't have quite that many, but I have a lot.
I've just been doing the story. That's kind of all I've been doing other than the arena is just working on using my stamina to work on the main story and just get it over with.
Yeah, I've just kind of been like, I don't know, my stamina's full, I'm bored. I'll go in and play for like, 30, 40 stamina, 3 or 4 maps and be like, I'm good. I'm not like, the fever has worn off and is just replaced with a like, this is fun to do sometimes. That's what I would say.
Between last week and this week, huh?
Yeah, I mean, you play it a lot, and like it comes down on you a little bit, like at some point, right? Like every map now takes long enough that I don't want to be playing like 20 maps in a row because I have to like concentrate really hard on these maps to win in some cases.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say earlier. Is like once you get up to the 40s, it's all about comp and movement and everything else, and you have to take a little bit of time. But also, once you, are leveling these guys up and you kind of like unlocked everything, at a certain point, unless they put out single player content that's harder or they raise the level cap or something, I think part of what I was trying to get at last episode is that once the fever does wear off, like you said,
mm-hmm.
What are you trying to accomplish overall?
There's definitely, like, at least in this game, since they have structured it with like a story and stuff, like, I'm not sure what their plan is for kind of just like evergreen content.
Right.
At least in turn, there is, so like, yeah, you can just keep playing the story over and over, but you earn less experience every time, like they tell you that. So you could play the training maps over and over just to get experience. But like, when you're at the level cap, why do you do the training?
Other than leveling your 4-star characters, there's almost no point in leveling 3-star characters.
You just get SP to like learn the skills that you probably know already, and then like, I don't know. So it's weird. I don't know.
This is what we were talking about with the quests coming back. Sorry about that. The quests, might be the instance of going in and seeing what the quests are and trying to take on those challenges, like.
Yeah.
Do the thing with the spear guys and all that. But at a certain point, you're kind of like, well, I'm going to spend all month just leveling spear dudes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
none of which I'll use after this because they're all 2 and 3-star.
Yeah. I don't know. Some of those like fun challenge things seem interesting. I will probably start looking at that once I have completed the actual story, or at least most of it. Yeah, I'm okay with that. And, maybe at some point this game becomes something similar to how I treat Hearthstone these days, which is I log in, check my quest, maybe play a few games, or if I don't like the quest, maybe don't.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
And, just waiting for stuff to change, which coincidentally is also how I feel about Hearthstone.
Things are going to be changing in Hearthstone, JJ. There been what would the proper word be? A slew?
Oh yeah, that's a word you could use for sure. It's a good word. I like that word.
We should talk about it. We don't talk about Hearthstone a ton because the game's been, in terms of development and meta, pretty stagnant.
Yeah, that's stagnant is the correct word. The pirates have come to Hearthstone, Andrew, and they have taken hold and have not left. I saw a video by the one Disguised Toast, who put out that from rank 10 to legend, 72% of games have patches played in them.
That is not good.
That's a high number of games.
Well, patches won't be around much longer, I don't think.
I think that's wrong. I think he will still be around.
Oh, patches will be around, but maybe there will be an alternative to Small-Time Buccaneer.
Yeah. He is getting hit with the Nerf bat quite hard. It booped an intense booping that boops his health all the way down to 1 from 2. And I think it is the right call. And that guy was printed in a poor fashion. I saw their explanation on it, and I was like, I get it, but also, come on.
Yeah. You didn't see that one coming, huh?
Come on, dude.
Same problem as...
He's literally the same card as Cogmaster, but for weapons, right?
Right.
Instead of mechs, and it is much easier to get a weapon than a mech.
Sure.
And all weapons by their nature have charge, whereas mechs don't. So it led to some issues. And anyway, they're nerfing him, which is great. And what was the other change? I think they're making one other change, right? Spirit Claws. Shaman is also very popular on the ladder. I don't know if you know this. And that weapon being very cheap and having 3 charges is problematic. So they decided to make it cost 2 instead of 1, which is probably something they should have done a long time ago.
Yeah, for sure.
If you think about it, that card, Shaman has another weapon that has 3 charges and costs 2. And I think it has Overload. And has 2 attack. And no one plays that weapon.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like from the classic set, I think. It's 2 attack, 3 charges, and like Overload 1 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
And no one plays it, right? This card is 1 mana, has the potential to have 3 attack and 3 charges, and no Overload. It's a lot better. even at 2 mana, there's a chance this still gets played in decks that are looking for a bunch of weapons. And double, especially if your deck is going to have enough spells to make you run the spell power stuff.
Which it will. Because it's Shaman, and their damage spells are amazing.
Yeah, and you have a totem that can just show up randomly for 2 mana that gives you +1 spell power. So,
well, you won't be playing Azure Drake in your deck anymore.
No, because, well, you will, but not until they do the Year of the Mammoth changes, which will come someday.
Okay, so explain to people what we're talking about. The Year of the Kraken is this year. The Year of the Mammoth is next year, quote unquote.
Next in a few months.
Yeah.
So Hearthstone has this standard format that they've talked about, where there are certain sets. It's sort of like the card rotation. If any of our listeners are familiar with Magic the Gathering or other card games, like real physical card games that have been around for a long time, they do these things like they call them blocks or sets or different, I don't know, there's different terms for them. But basically, at some point, there becomes so many cards available in your game that it's impossible for people to keep up with every single card that's ever been released, right? The people that started playing your game at the beginning might be okay, but the new player has to get 80,000 cards from all these old sets that are maybe still for sale, but like annoying, and it gets really expensive for them to get into the game.
Well, and they can't control the interactions that long.
Right. It just eventually becomes unwieldy, right? There's like, how do you balance 10,000 cards all on top of each other? It's a little too much. So Magic started this way back in the day, and Hearthstone is following suit, and taking certain sets and rotating them into a different format. So Hearthstone has Wild, which is the evergreen kind of format, where every card that's been printed is available, and you can play whatever you want. And then it has Standard, which moves its rotation forward from, like, in these years. So the Year of the Kraken had the Black Rock Mountain and the Grand Tournament, League of Explorers, and everything that was released last year. Mm-hmm. And the new year, the Year of the Mammoth, will have Black Rock Mountain, League of Explorers, and the Grand Tournament will be the ones that are now excluded. Yeah. And the stuff released last year, Old Gods, Karazhan, and the Mean Streets of Gadgetzan will be in, and then whatever is released this year.
And what's released this year is going to be a little bit different than last year. They're going to change up the release a little bit.
Yeah, it sounds like they are planning to release more total cards this year than the past year, which is probably good for the game overall in terms of like the health of the meta and the amount of viable decks and stuff.
If they make them good and don't make the argument that all of them have to be bad because we need bad cards.
Yeah, I mean, at some level, they're going to have to print some cards that are not as good as some other ones, right? That's just unavoidable. But I think they did a pretty good job in Gadgetzan of not printing too many of those awful cards.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And in Gadgetzan, they took the idea of creating new archetypes to a new level, right? With the new Jade and everything else. Right, and they were able to create good cards there rather than trying to shoehorn everybody all the time into, we really, really want you to play Beast blank and Beast this, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, even in their traditional, like, Beast whatever, it's just having more cards available to you allows you to make, like, you know, us, the player, to have more options. And maybe that Beast thing actually becomes viable or playable even if they have enough cards that can be beasts and also can be of that class, right?
Yeah, and more cards will also keep things that are good viable. Like Dragon Priest is probably not going to be great to start the new year.
It's going to be really bad.
Yeah, but maybe if they have more of a card pool, they can keep Dragon relevant.
Yeah, I assume they will print some dragons just because almost all the dragons are rotating out in Black Rock Mountain.
And they're removing Azure Drake, and
and they're not removing it, right? It is just going to Wild. And actually, I guess we should mention the other cards that are also going to Wild only will be Azure Drake, Sylvanas, and Ragnaros.
And Conceal.
And Conceal and Icelance as well. Yeah. Now, it is worth pointing out that Blizzard is compensating people for these cards being removed from the classic set and sent to Wild. if you don't have any of these cards and you want to continue playing Hearthstone and care even maybe a little bit about them, you should craft them golden.
If you have that amount of dust. I mean, that's an insane amount of dust.
It's 3,200 dust. It's a lot. But you will get all of that dust back. And you will then have a golden version of that card.
That you can then dust.
That you can then dust and get more dust again. If you assume that you're never going to play Wild, if you are hoping to or eventually planning to or do play Wild, then you obviously have to keep them because they will continue to be good and powerful in that format.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a smart move. And I think that some of those cards, very specifically Sylvanas and Ice Lance, Conceal is bad too, but I don't know. And Ragnarosa was, I don't know why they're changing Ragnarosa.
Here's the thought process I read behind it was they tried to think of how to take cards that basically people said there was, okay, so this is my 5 mana slot. Is there anything better than Azure Drake? This is my 6 mana slot. Is there anything better than Sylvanas? This is my 8 mana slot. Is there anything better than Rag?
Unlikely.
So rather than, I find that to be specious logic a little bit, because that means we really don't want to print cards that are better than that. So why don't we just take them out of the game? And I wonder if that is good logic or bad, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I'm not a game designer. As much as I can decide that I think that I know better, I don't, obviously, but
sure.
It feels to me like, well, why don't you come up with cards that are better rather than, because I know some people that have crafted these cards that said, great, right, cool, those are like, I play free to play, I don't play as often, I don't do my quests every day, and 2 months ago I finally crafted my Sylvanas and now it's gone.
Well, at least they are giving you that dust that you spent back. So if whichever version you have, the golden version or the not golden version of any of these cards we talked about, Ice Lance, Conceal, Ragnaros, Sylvanas, Azure Drake, they will give you the dust's worth, the full value up to the amount you can put in a deck. So for Azure Drake, if you have 2 golden ones, you get 2 golden ones worth of dust. If you have 1 and 1, you'll get 1 and 1.
Do you not get dust for the regular ones too?
No, you do. But if you have golden, you will only get the dust for the golden ones, not for the regular ones also. Yeah, so you can then go ahead and safely disenchant your duplicates, right? Keep the gold. If you have the golden ones, keep the golden ones, disenchant the regular ones because you're not going to get anything for them anymore. That kind of stuff.
Gotcha. That's important to note.
It is nice that they're throwing us this bone, and it's the full disenchant cost too. So if you literally can make another copy of a usable legendary, right? If, like you said, you just crafted your Sylvanas since you knew it was going to be good forever, well, surprise, it's now not good forever. Have another legendary's worth of dust, so that you can make something that is good, which is nice of them to do, which is why I said you can go ahead and craft the golden versions, because you'll just get that dust back.
When does all this happen, do you know? Like all the dust, when is all the dust disenchant, dust gift, all that going to happen? Did they say?
I don't think they did.
Okay.
Or if they did, I didn't hear it. So I don't know. I wish I knew, because I have to make a decision about if I want to disenchant my regular ones to craft the golden ones.
Now, this is going to be a huge shift because we're going to lose a lot of cards, and they haven't announced when the first set hits.
I believe the intent is for the Year of the Mammoth stuff to happen when the next set
Gotcha.
hits. But they haven't talked about that set yet, so I'm guessing not until either late March or April.
It was good that we delayed this, too, because some notes came out also about Arena.
Yeah, and actually, I'm pretty excited about the Arena changes. That seems actually pretty good. Like, they're doing some work on the Arena.
It said that their idea was to put the onus back on good play rather than good draft, so maybe I'll actually finally get to my 12 wins.
That was my thought also. And they're moving the Arena to the standard format, which means that no longer will you be seeing so many of the other older sets or cards from those sets.
Yeah.
Which is probably good. I don't know that it actually the format, whether it's standard or wild, is not going to be the big determiner of how good a draft ends up being, right? Like, your draft is still going to be based on the quality of the cards that you see. You can see quality cards from any set. I guess maybe the power level moves down a little bit when you exclude some of those older ones like Nax and GVG.
Well, the main thing that changes is that they've decided they're going to up the rate of everything above common.
Yeah, so that is an interesting change, especially when you consider that, like, I think at some point they said one of the factors that influences rarity, not the only one, definitely, because otherwise there would be a lot of differences if this was the only factor, but one of the factors that influences rarity is how good the card would be in Arena. And if that's the case, then they're literally just saying, oh, well, we want these, in some cases better, but also in some cases like more situational cards to show up more in Arena.
Yes.
Which could make a pretty significant swing in like how the decks are built and the way you choose to draft.
And which classes are going to be good.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how the dust shakes out on all that. Obviously, off the bat, I have no idea because I don't play it nearly at all. But with those changes, I think I might be interested. They also said they're going to try and promote minions with, or show minions with no text less often.
Interesting.
So I think they said just from the classic set. So the classic set, you know, the thing that's always around.
Magma Rager.
Yeah, so cards like Magma Rager and Chillwind Yeti and those sorts of guys will show up less often, I believe they said. The like vanilla minion complaint that everyone has about Hearthstone. So I think that's a good change. It's more fun to have guys that do stuff, right? Rather than guys that don't, or cards that don't. Where do you want your cards?
There's nothing. That's not nothing, but there are very few cards that are actively detrimental with their text.
Right.
And even then, the detriment is because they're good. Or supposedly good. Yeah,
they have a detriment because like they have crazy stats, or they cost 1 mana or something, right? And like that's okay. And I think everyone is okay with those kinds of text, right?
Yeah, sometimes it's worth the trade-off. Sometimes it's not, you know, like, what is the Wraith Guard? Wraith Guard's probably not worth the text.
Yeah, yeah. But, you know, like, and then in that case, right, you wouldn't draft it.
Yeah, pick something else.
Yeah, and there are other choices every time, right? There's always 3, so if you don't like one, there's always something else. And the final piece, I think, it's not, I don't know if it's the final piece, but it's the funniest piece to me is that we finally have the technology to use golden cards in Arena, Andrew.
Woo.
Yay. So if you own a golden copy of a card, the first copy of that card that you see in Arena will be golden. And if you own 2 golden copies of a card, then all the copies of that card will be golden.
Why bother with that? That seems kind of silly to me.
Golden cards are cool. I don't know.
No, not why bother with checking the collection for the amount that somebody owns.
In order to encourage you to have more golden cards.
Okay, that just seems kind of silly. But
yeah, it is.
Whatever, they're adding golden cards to Arena, which is fun.
Yeah, it's just surprising to me that it took them this long to get one of the defining cosmetic things in the game, right? Like how many golden cards and what cards you have that are golden. Right. Is like one of the most visible and obvious defining things that you like in terms of like cosmetics and showing off in this game. It took them this long to add it to one of their like supposedly very well played and liked modes. Like it was just nothing before this. Like what? So anyway, I don't know. I just thought that was funny.
I'll definitely be on the trying Arena train and seeing if that ups my interest in Hearthstone because I've been down on it a little bit, so we'll see. I think a lot of these changes are opening the door for good things, and we'll see if they're able to deliver.
Yeah, they're definitely saying things that I like to hear. So we will see how it all shakes out at the end, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Should we get to our beefy? What do they call that? The main topic, not the main topic. What they have a word for that? our premier topic today?
Sure. Yeah, let's dive in.
JJ, I sent you an article about, it was from ESPN, and they've started to cover esports over the last year pretty heavily. They even have it in the magazine and all sorts of stuff. They have a section on their website dedicated to it. And unlike Reddit or whatever, which give you the snapshot of the news of who won what, their articles seem to kind of take a deep dive look into the actual sport, like a more refined investigative journalism should.
Yeah, I mean, they have ESPN employs professional reporters who are probably pretty good at their job. I assume. I don't know. I don't read ESPN that frequently. But I know you can find quality sports reporting there. And now apparently you can also find quality esports reporting there, because this article, which I assume we will link for the folks, is really, really good.
Yeah.
It was even about a topic that I knew a little bit about before this.
Something we've alluded to actually on this show before. When it comes to Steam.
I thought we had talked about it.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we've talked directly about this issue, but we have alluded to Steam, the Valve platform, possibly running into a lot of regulatory troubles because they have illegal money traveling around, and this is the tip of the iceberg, but people started to look into gambling around the skins in CSGO.
So, I think we mentioned this when we talked about this before, but I have some experience in this, because before the CSGO gambling got really big, there was gambling with the cosmetic items in Dota as well.
And we don't mean just, gambling, you're betting on esports teams or something like that, like there is allowed through the website. Like when the Dota International happens, you can not bet with what you own, but you can go in there and you can make bets.
Well, actually, that is how it started, right? Or at least in my experience, it definitely did start with, hey, take the Dota cosmetics you have, and the rarities and values are assigned to them based on what the Steam market perceives them to be worth, and trade them to this, holding account. And then at the end of a match, if you correctly predicted the winner, you will get, whatever the payouts version of those items. You won't get the same items back, but you'll get better, more expensive ones back.
Okay, but that wasn't Valve sanctioned. I was trying to say the Valve sanctioned stuff wasn't gambling in the way it was interact with us about esports, and you could possibly win prizes.
None of the Valve stuff was ever Valve, the company, right, never engaged in any of this actual gambling activity.
Right, but I was trying to say esports, then, kind of people saw the light and they said, oh, well, rather than doing giveaways, why don't we do gambling? And then, like you said, people set up holding accounts, and they've started to run marketplace, values on all these items, etc.
Right. Well, Valve already provides a service for people to trade items among themselves for money or for cost, right? So
Correct.
There's already sort of a marketplace established there for these items.
Right.
And so these places would just take that value and give you items of more value based on whether you correctly predicted the winner or loser of some esport game.
So Dota 2 is definitely popular, but a more popular game in Valve's repertoire would be Counter-Strike Global Offensive.
Right. CSGO, as it is called.
Which we will refer to it from now on as CSGO.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a little bit quicker to say. But yes, CSGO is a game that also has this skin mentality, and it's basically just ways to, put paint or stickers or whatever on the guns that you use in the game to make them look special or sound different or have special effects, right?
Correct. Yeah, and a lot of these have
not necessarily gameplay changing effects, but visual effects.
Yeah, nothing changes in gameplay, but your Sig Sauer whatever could have purple paint or the Star Spangled Stripes on it or whatever.
Right.
And they go up and down in value based on how rare they are or whether some famous Twitch streamer or somebody who won the last CSGO tournament was wearing that on their knife.
Right. And so just like everything, the free market just sort of would determine how much, these things would come randomly out of chests, right? You open a chest, there's a random skin inside, or multiple skins potentially if you're very lucky, and you would get, something out of that chest that you would pay some nominal amount of money for.
Right. We're missing here is that you have to pay Valve to open the chest.
Correct. Yeah, you don't get the chests for free, or you maybe get them for free, but you can't open them for free.
Yeah, I think it's like $3 or something to open every chest.
Yeah, something like that. And then, you get, some number of skins out of that chest, maybe which are the ones you want, maybe which aren't. Obviously, the most popular ones are the ones that either the professional players use or that are very rare, right?
We should be clear that most skins are worth pennies. If you attribute any of these things to money, which you shouldn't, and which is the problem with a lot of people and with the gentleman in this article, worrying about how much things are worth, etc. None of these things are actually worth money, but most of them, if you value them according to the market, are worth nothing.
Right. You take a rarity argument, right? And if let's say there are 10 million people playing CSGO, it's probably more than that, but I don't know. If there are 10 million people playing this game and maybe half of them are spending $3 to open a chest, how many of them get the same item out of that chest, right? Almost all of them are going to get duplicates, but only as the rarest, the most exquisitely rare item in that chest is going to be the one that's going to be worth $50, $100, $300,
right.
Something like that.
Right. So to summarize a little bit of this article, it was only a matter of time before people said, well, put your stuff in a holding account and then come to my website and play poker or play roulette or, slots or whatever. And you could win prizes based on that. And
use these skins instead of money. Right?
So you're not gambling money, which means it's not illegal. Kinda.
Yeah. The question is not whether how illegal is or isn't it. It is not regulated. So there's no way to know whether it's a complete gray area in terms of the law, right? No one has any idea how legal these services are. And for that there's also means the games that you play on those websites don't have any regulation either.
Yeah.
Are they fair? Who can say? I don't know. And
maybe you can market your website to kids through your Twitch stream because it's, who knows?
I'm just playing some spinning some wheels on my website for this CSGO game that you 13-year-old or 14-year-old maybe also play. Come to my website and bet your skin.
Because you don't really, betting, you're 13 and you don't really understand the consequences of your actions or the $8,000 bill you're going to run up on your dad's credit card buying CSGO keys.
Or how gambling works at all.
Right.
Yeah. And let's be clear, I don't have a problem with this situation in that, in a way that, if this person was an adult, if everyone on all sides was adults, right? I don't know that there's necessarily a problem here. But the fact that it is completely unregulated and that the websites don't have to be fair and that they also then don't have to they don't report to the gaming commission or something to tell you that your spin is equally likely to work for you as for someone else. And then they also then can market to people under the legal gambling age. That's a problem.
Yes. So unfortunately, because of how complicated this all is and people hosting things in other countries, etc., right. There's really A, no one paying attention to it, and B, no way to do anything about it. So the only people trying to do anything about it in this article, at least, are the gambling commissions in Seattle, and the only person they can hold accountable is Valve.
Right. So recently, at least, as of last year, Valve finally started to crack down a little bit on some of the more popular versions of these sites.
And we should mention why they are doing it is because they've given out their API. Right. APK is the other thing.
Really, they explain it pretty well in the article. If folks read it, they'll come to understand what it is. But basically, an API is a way for an outside party like you or me, Andrew, to interact with the systems from another website, right? So like we don't control that website, but that website wants us to interact with it in some way. The API allows us to do that via our own computers, right? So it allows you to do stuff with, say, the tools of that website, for instance, like to use Valve's market or to trade skins around or something.
Right.
It allows you to do it programmatically from somewhere else. And generally, those are good things. You want, people to be able to use your services in interesting and creative ways. Unfortunately, it's also difficult to monitor use of APIs like that. And so then we end up in this case where people can make all these skin trading bots and holding accounts and stuff that facilitated these websites.
Right, correct. So they are starting to do a crackdown somewhat recently. Do you think they've been effective at all based on those two articles that I sent?
Well, I think it's a game of whack-a-mole at some point, right? You can't whack all the moles back down into the prairie, right? At some point, you never can. The cost of starting up a website is so cheap.
Yeah.
And the returns are so high, especially when you get people betting, hundreds and thousands of dollars worth of these skins all the time. They're never going to probably be able to stop this until laws change. But they're definitely, it is possible to stop it in the easiest ways, right? The biggest websites, the most used and traded places, the most reputable kinds of places, right, are the ones you can go after. And if they get shut down, well, then people are forced into the shadier and more obviously not legal means.
Yeah, so the harder they make this to do and the more people get ripped off doing it, you think that it'll kind of kill itself?
Yeah, because, if the website that I used in the past for this Dota trading stuff also got shut down, right? For the same reasons, because it is, more or less betting, and it's not regulated and all this sort of stuff. And people who had, items in those accounts, like those accounts were said, hey, if you ever connect to Steam again, we're going to sue you. And they're like, okay, well, we're not going to do that. All the people with all their items in those holding accounts, what happens to them?
Gone forever.
Gone forever. So, people would understandably be pretty burned by that. And you would hope, at least the non-addicted ones, would then choose to maybe stop.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the deep dives that they did in this ESPN article, is talking about gambling addiction and how children, especially the ones mentioned in this article, have no understanding of addiction, and basically all of them are able to be manipulated into gambling and all these other things because of the reward centers of their brains essentially being hardwired to become addicted to something.
Right. And that's, it's why laws that establish a legal age for gambling exist, right? Like we don't, as a country, and as, state by state, every state has their own rules about how gambling works in it and all that kind of stuff. And almost all of them have legal ages for when you are allowed to begin gambling. And that's for a good reason. Like kids don't understand how that stuff works, and they don't understand the financial impacts of it. And they don't understand like what they could potentially be doing to themselves in the long run. And so, it's this sort of unregulated Wild West is really bad for children, especially.
Yeah, especially because it's connected to something that they see as a game. So,
right.
Well, then this other thing that I'm doing that's related must also be a game and have no consequences.
Yeah. So it's the article is really, really great. I really encourage everyone to read it. Really do an awesome job of explaining all of these things that we kind of brushed on the top of here.
Do you feel like Valve is responsible after having read all this? Do you feel like they should be more active and responsible in trying to go after this sort of thing, or should they say, yeah, we'll do our due diligence and shut down the ones that are egregious, but we don't really care.
Well, I don't know that they necessarily say we don't.
Oh,
really
no,
care
I'm not
at the
saying
end
that
of sentence.
they're saying that. I'm sorry. I'm asking you, if you were in that position, how aggressively would you pursue this problem?
So I think that in general, Valve has a lot of issues when it comes to dealing with the public, not only with regards to this, but with regards to customer service and with regards to several other things like publicly facing.
Yeah, we have another thing to talk about after this about them with that.
Yeah. And so I think that as a company in general, they struggle with that. And so I agree that this is a case where like they should be trying to get out in front of this. If, they would want their PR team to be out there trying to say, look, we're shutting these websites down as we find out about them. Someone is out there. We have a legal team, researching and trying to shut it down as many of these as they can, right? Like, obviously, like from the moral perspective, that's what they should be doing. I don't think really there should be any argument against that.
Yeah.
But it obviously they're not doing that. But also, like, Valve only employs like 100 people or something total, and though that sounds like a lot, all of them are engaged in making this gigantic multi-billion-dollar marketplace for video games work. Right?
Yeah, it definitely shows that they don't have a fat team.
Exactly. And this is a case, and their customer service is another case where, like, getting a response from Steam customer service is not impossible, but it might as well be.
I mean, they have tons of things in place that you can see are put there to lower their workload. Like, you can't change your account name.
Correct. Or they also have, like, oh, do you want to contact customer service? Here's a list of things that you probably have that are wrong. Do all of these first, and then we'll show you the email address or something.
Mm-hmm. So you can see all these things that are everybody else does, and there's no reason that they can't do them, and they decide to put them off for other things. And that kind of leads into our discussion that I wanted to have about Greenlight. They're making some changes to Greenlight, too.
Well, they're not making some changes. Greenlight is going away.
Yep. I was being kind, but they're killing off.
The change is get wrecked, go away. No one likes you. And it's in this case, I think it's definitely the correct thing to do, right? A Greenlight, for those who don't know or maybe don't remember our discussions of it in the past, is a service on Steam that would allow you, a independent developer, to publish your games on the Steam storefront if you gathered enough crowd support in some way, whether through some combination of likes or some combination of votes and stuff like this. Mm-hmm. Then magic algorithms in the background would determine if your game was now worthy to be put on Steam.
Right. Rather than somebody somewhere playing your game and saying, this doesn't even run.
Or rather than someone somewhere even looking at it at all.
Right.
And so, this system became, I don't know if rife is the right word, but pretty full of a lot of shady business practices.
I think rife is the perfect word.
Yeah, a lot of like corruption, but it was also an avenue for like social engineering and a lot of stuff where like people would game the system by promising people keys to their new game or promising them keys to other games that they've already made, or perks outside of the service that Valve can control to allow them to vote to try and get their game moved into the marketplace, right? And it just was the idea behind it is a good idea, but the implementation was so bad and so open to exploitation that there's really no way to save it.
And it's definitely directly responsible to the flood that has happened to Steam that they are in desperate need of correcting in terms of the shocking amount of games that are on there that just shouldn't be.
And, I don't know that Valve is necessarily against the idea of having a lot of games on Steam or having the bar be set a lot lower, right? I don't think that that's necessarily something they are interested in correcting. I don't think they see that as a problem. The stuff that is a problem, though, is when clearly like stolen assets or clearly just like completely unplayable garbage makes its way on the service because of fraud or something like that.
Now, they haven't really detailed the new system, but they did basically say it's just going to be a gateway with a bunch of pay, right? Like, oh, I want my game on, I have to pay. And they didn't say much else about what they're going to do to curate from now on what gets on to the marketplace. It seems kind of undeveloped after saying, well, this is going away. What's your plan to fix it? Money? I don't know.
So, I mean, in terms of a marketplace, right? Like, how many different levers do you have that you can pull, right? Money is the most obvious one. But in terms of like they're actually doing is they're having a recoupable fee that's required for you to put your game on Steam. They haven't decided what the value of that fee is, whether it could be as low as $100 or as high as $5,000.
Okay.
But because it's recoupable, if you sell that many dollars worth of your game, then you will make that fee back.
Do you make the fee back, or do they and then not get paid for your game, or do you get paid for your game and get your fee back?
The fee comes back with the money for your sales. So, like, if you hit X numbers of sales, the fee is refunded to you.
Okay, so it's
how I understand.
It's not. They're not trying to make some sort of advertising argument that you say, well, you'll make your money back. You'll actually give your fee back on top of the money you're making.
Yes, okay. Yeah, you still make the money. The money is yours.
That's more detailed than what I had found up till now.
That is my understanding of how it works, and that's sort of how I understand recoupable to mean.
Okay.
Anyhow, but what that does is it creates an incentive for a lot of these games that end up on Steam don't sell very many copies, or they're priced so low that they don't do a lot of like dollars in transactions.
Sure.
It's like, oh, this game is 5 cents, and you can buy it, but how many sales do I need of 5 cents each to get this, $5,000 fee back, right? I need a lot. And that game is not ever going to sell that many copies. And so then it becomes financially silly for you to put that game on Steam, right? You straight up lose money. Even in the like long tail hope of years and years down the line, I will have recouped this money. No, you won't, right? Like, not at 5 cents. Okay, well, if I price the game at $1, but if I price the game at $1, like, no one is going to play this game. It's not worth $1. And so then you end up in, the case where maybe someone like that would then not choose to put their game on Steam.
Well, and you could also run into a problem at $5,000, let's say, where, let's say some sort of indie developer goes out and uses RPG Maker to make their RPG, and they put a ton of time into it, and they really should be charging $19.99.
Yep.
But no one's going to pay $19.99 for an indie game that nobody knows anything about, unless it's the most amazing thing ever. He's made a good game, but it's not a great game. He's never going to make his money back. Or she. I should say she is also possible, but I just was using a pronoun.
Yeah. Right. And that is definitely a worry, right? Like, they don't want to discourage, like, legitimately developed good games, or not even bad games, right? They don't want to. It shouldn't be a barrier to the person who wants their game to be on Steam, right? The developer should be allowed to make that decision if they want to market their game via Steam or other platforms that also allow you to upload games, right? Like, other marketplaces exist that sell video games. Steam's not the only one, even though it's the one we end up using the most. It doesn't mean there aren't others. itch.io, Humble, and GOG.com, like, all these places sell games, and you can put games on there for maybe potentially less than this theoretical $5,000. Like, who knows? I don't know I think itch.io has said that they will never charge people, but they only want certain kinds of like indie developed games. So
yeah.
Maybe there's a market there for like, hey, I have this sort of indie focused, really small team, like just me or a few people developed game, and it may not even be that good, but I want to get it out there so people can see it. Maybe that gives itch.io a space to be like, hey, these games aren't going to come to Steam because Steam doesn't want them. Look how cool we are. Like, that's a potential market, right?
Right, yeah. I guess that's the argument for capitalism in a way.
Right. And so, like, look, Valve doesn't run this store out of the goodness of their heart. They're there to make money. And so, they want to set the bar as low as it needs to be to not keep out people who are, serious and plan to sell a good number of copies of their game, but also to keep out the people who are just putting shovelware on there, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. We'll see.
It's a tough problem, and I don't know how it will work, but it seems like an okay idea to me to at least try. I don't know. Yeah. I think it works like this in the App Store too, like the Apple App Store. You have to pay a fee every time you list a new product.
I think the fee was kind of nominal. I don't think it was crazy high.
Yeah, but it's like $100 or something, which is not nothing.
No, but something that somebody with a passion project can find and scrape together. Let's say, I've got 5 friends. I can ask them all for $20 each to get my game onto Steam or the iPhone market, and then say, I may not make anything, but my passion project got on there, and I got my $100 back, and I paid everybody back.
Yeah. It's just it's like a point of reference, right? Well, the iPhone App Store charges $100, and I'm sure that there's some website out there, Amazon or someone is going to charge you a lot more to put your game on it.
Yeah.
So, it's a continuum, right? And you want everyone to be able to put their things wherever they want them to. But it's
yeah, it's just it's an interesting question considering the profile, right? Their store has a higher profile than itch.io, so
definitely
it's just it's a profile question, and they have every right to do it and change the process up a little bit.
I am interested to see where it goes. I hope it produces some good work, and that maybe some of these asset generated farm type games that are just sort of made by robots and changing 2 different things out of a free pack of assets or something, maybe kind of fall off a little bit.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Or at least have some way to kind of filter them out a little better. But we'll see. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. We'll see where it goes.
Should we do a little bit of rapid fire notes to round out the episode?
Bang, bang.
Civ 6, JJ. Hit him with a little bit of news.
Yeah, Civ had a big update just the other day, and they added some stuff that Civ has been missing for, at least this version, for a while. You can play teams in multiplayer now. Yay!
Huzzah! I am excited to try the multiplayer at some point down the road when I obtain Civ 6, when the DLC and everything else is included, because Civ 5 multiplayer was good.
Yeah, I was just surprised that you couldn't do... So the multiplayer worked, but you weren't able to set allied teams directly, which you could do in the single player.
Yeah.
I was just surprised if you could do it there. Why couldn't you do it in the multiplayer? That seems crazy.
There's a more important note in this update.
There is a more important note, and they have added mod support. Woo! Finally. Yeah, so now if you want to make your penis kingdom or whatever...
Let's try a different example than that.
Or if you want to make dinosaurs, or you want to make your civilization of Andrunia, where Andrew is the leader and everyone loves Andrew, you can do that.
There you go.
Yeah, so it's awesome, and they're usually by this point in the Civ lifecycle, there's a number of pretty good mods out there that do fun stuff. So it's a bit disappointing that they weren't able to include the modding tools until now, but yeah. I look forward to, over the years, checking out Civ 6 mods and what people can do to make that fun.
Right on. We both saw the Lego Batman movie. I don't know that I have a ton to say on it, other than I really, really liked it. And as a Batman
everything is awesome. Wait, no, wrong movie. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, it still had that feeling to it.
It did. It was a Lego movie in the same way that Lego movie was, but this is about Batman. And yeah, it was great. I really liked it. I think Stephanie really liked it too. I think maybe it went on for a bit too long near the end.
Sure, about 15 minutes shorter would have been good.
Definitely. But I really enjoyed all of it that I saw. It was really funny. Some of the villains that showed up, I did not expect it to go in some of those directions.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was great.
Poor Sauron.
Really good overall. Yeah, man. That guy.
He got hosed.
Feel bad for him. You feel bad for him. And the with the creature from the Black Lagoon just slinks away. So good.
What
man.
was the name of
so good.
Batman's vehicle that he uses? Basically, the last half of it. The Predator, the something.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Oh man, it was pretty cool though. Like transforms all the time.
Yeah. It's it was a great fun. It ended up being a lot more of a Batman story than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it was more Batman than Lego,
which is probably good.
I agree.
So
it was fun. I would recommend.
Yeah, recommended for sure. Especially, definitely worth if you have, kids of a certain age, you could take them to that. And if you don't, it is still fun for adults.
Yep. Now,
double special if you like Batman.
I want to make it clear, when you email us at podcast@weweregamers.com, you can,
or write on our Facebook page at We Were Gamers.
You can, for sure, remind me that we mixed fandoms, and I can apologize for it, but don't be mean about it.
Okay.
Last week, JJ, I said don't forget to bring a towel. When you said
correct.
You're don't panic or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I was making a reference to South Park, and I knew it because it's a funny way to mention that you should always have a towel on you, which is what they say in Hitchhiker's Guide.
That is true.
But people thought that I didn't know what I was talking about.
Oh, no. I'm pretty sure you know what you're talking about,
Yeah.
at least in terms of The Hitchhiker's Guide, which is a wonderful book, and everyone should read it.
Anyway, did we mention all our social medias there? Did we get them all in?
We're on Instagram.
Oh yeah, that one.
We were gamers, and we, yeah, nope. I think that's it.
All right. Well, we'll be back next week with another regular episode since we're no longer on vacation.
Yeah, another hot banger.
No, just no.
No.
Oh, JJ.
This isn't a hot
I
beat,
don't,
a sick beat.
I don't even know how to end the episode after that.